Freedom's greetings, Helldivers, and welcome to a new series where we're going to be ranking every weapon in Helldivers 2, starting with the Railgun. I'll be going over all the statistics that give a weapon merit, ranking it appropriately, then ending on a final score to give you one of the most information dense experiences of a lifetime. And as always, the data collection and rankings will be based entirely on the performance at difficulty 10 Super Helldive to give you the most accurate information on how this weapon holds up in the super endgame. First rating, we're going to talk about versatility. The railgun has a variable charge up mechanic taking zero point 0.5 seconds to reach a fireable state, but can be charged for an additional 2.5 seconds, increasing the damage by 50% and the armor penetration from AP5 up to AP7. This allows the railgun to damage any AC5 or lower target after just zero point 0.5 seconds, or charge for an additional 2.5 seconds to deal damage to anything AC7 or lower, which is actually every enemy in the game, as nothing has more than Class 6 armor anywhere on its body, so as far as penetration is concerned, the railgun gets full marks. The problem comes in when we consider the durability values of our enemies. The railgun has only 10 to 15% of its raw damage in durable damage, making it very ineffective against enemies with high durability on their weak points. This is most notable for the Bile Titan's head, which has 95% durability in Class 6 armor, the Charger, who has no less than 75% durability on any part of their body before armor stripping, the gunships, which have a minimum of 80% durability on their back thrusters, the Factory Strider's head, which has 100% durability, and the very abundant bunker turrets surrounding enemy super outposts, which have 100% durability as well. Considering the relevancy of all of these targets in any given mission, and the value of a support slot which could otherwise be utilized to deal with any of these targets better, I rate the Railgun's overall versatility a 7 out of 10, as it has some glaringly bad matchups that your team composition will need to account for, and does lack the ability to close up nests and fabricators, a utility very commonly found amongst the support class, but overall can still deal damage to any enemy in the game. Next up is ease of use. The railgun has very snappy, responsive handling, which is a bit rare when it comes to support weapons, especially after they decided to give our flamethrowers recoil. Having to reload a new round in before every shot can feel quite cumbersome, however, and adds opportunity for user error as the 1.3-second reload scaled down to 1.17 seconds should you have the payroll management system ship module cannot be interrupted and must be completed in its entirety each time, leading to situations where you may have heard the new round load in, but dive canceling the ending of the animation only to be confused why your weapon isn't firing. Typically, the zero point 0.5 second charge up is quick, responsive, and satisfying to utilize against targets that you don't need more penetration to damage. But against anything harder than Class 4 armor, when you're waiting on that charge, holding down the trigger, you get increasingly more vulnerable to being aim punched out of your shot, wasting all that time plus another second to reload before you can try again, which can be very punishing. Not to mention, if you ever do take the weapon up to its maximum charge or beyond the 3 seconds allowed, your weapon will instantly explode, killing any lightly armored or unfortified Helldiver carrying it. While this is a skill issue when it happens, it creates a very punishing scenario that isn't present when considering ease of use for other support weapons. Considering all the factors and variables, while any enemy we can fire a minimum charge at will feel fantastic and deserving of a 10 out of 10 experience, any harder targets requiring you to leave yourself vulnerable to aim punch with a very low rate of fire definitely brings our average user experience down to a 6 out of 10. Now let's talk about overall firepower. The railgun has some incredible punch. It is starting at 600 damage once charged to a minimum at zero point 0.5 seconds, scaling all the way to a maximum of 900 damage if charged for 2.96 seconds, which is gonna be pretty unrealistic to utilize as it's very close to just killing you outright for doing so. More realistically, a 2.5-second charge results in the maximum pen value of 7, dealing 840 damage. Compared to the rest of the support weapons per shot, this outpaces the raw ballistic damage of the anti tank class when overcharging, and sits right below them when firing on the minimum charge. However, unlike the anti tank class weapons, the railgun deals no explosive damage, which has pros and cons depending on what you're shooting at, as some enemies have explosive immune weak points, such as the Alpha Commander. Explosive damage, however, does deal 100% of its damage to durable parts, making it stronger than most ballistic damage, which typically only deals 10 to 15% of its damage to durable. So while the railgun has fantastic time to kill values against any non durable enemies, it really struggles to achieve any meaningful TTKs against harder targets, making it a specialist and not so much a generalist in regards to what you want to kill with it. For the targets it's fully effective against, such as the notorious one shot headshot kills it performs at minimum charge on the Hulks, and its one shot kills on the new Rocket Strider, the firepower is absolutely top of its class. Taking into account its ammo supply when going up against the anti tank support options, the railgun actually has the most damage per resupply despite only having 21 shots to fire, bringing almost 3 times the damage of the recoilless rifle and the spear, but does have the least damage per resupply of any of the non anti tank support weapons, only tied with the grenade launcher, leaving it in a limbo state where its great TTKs on those class 4 armored targets leave it with oftentimes not enough ammo to slug it out with threats that consume 3 or more shots to bring down. Overall, I award the railgun a 8 out of 10 for its firepower, carried very much so by its fantastic TTKs against some of the highest threat enemies in the game that can only be matched by the anti-tank weapons it outpaces in fire rate and damage per ammo dump. The last rating is going to be based on synergy. Synergy in this context is going to be based on how well the weapon cooperates with other weapons your team may bring or other equipment that it pairs well with within a loadout. Due to the railgun's middle of the road ammo supply being fantastic compared to anti tank weapons, but terrible when compared to the other support weapons, the supply backpack is brought along by many Helldivers to keep them well stocked on ammo when the need arises to take on harder targets that the weapon struggles against, such as tanks, cannon turrets, bile titans, and chargers. This synergizes further with bringing the grenade pistol to keep some personal spawner destruction on your person, as the grenade pistol is also known for its fleeting supply of ammo. The railgun's specialization into killing medium or larger targets means it's paired best with a primary that can handle chaff, as you never want to be spending its ammo on anything smaller than a medium enemy. As most primary weapons specialize or function extremely well as chaff killers, it functions extremely well alongside most primary weapons in the game. For the enemies that the railgun does struggle against, it pairs up nicely with single target heavy eliminating stratagems that are already very popular, such as the 500 kg bomb and orbital precision strike, which clean up these enemies efficiently on a low cooldown. When considering the railgun, you can rest easy picking it into any match against the automatons where your allies have locked in an autocannon, as the two pair extremely well together when in combat side by side. The autocannon handles the enemy gunships far better and more efficiently ammo wise than the railgun can, while the railgun dishes out clean one shot kills to the Hulks and Rocket Striders that the autocannon could deal with, certainly, but not as rapidly or efficiently as the railgun can. And as the autocannon is sporting a 60% or higher pick rate, this should prove to be no problem. This brings the synergy rating up to a 9 out of 10, as it cooperates very well with a massive assortment of popular gear and teammate loadouts. Now it all comes together, and taking everything into account, the railgun functions very well alongside the most popular gear in the game, has fantastic damage potential and time to kill values for the targets that it is particularly effective against, and while it can be cumbersome to utilize that firepower at times, the overall value of the weapon is extremely high in today's metagame. For the automatons, where it has on average much better matchups, the ranking for the railgun is going to be a 8 out of 10, as this weapon is by far one of the most powerful in its class to bring into a match these days with how out of control the spawn rates are for the Hulks and the Rocket Striders. Its two best matchups, only held back by its mediocre TTK against gunships and weak matchups against tanks and turrets, which are far from the majority threat. On the other hand, however, when it comes to the Terminids, the Railgun only enjoys strong matchups against the medium bugs, the Alpha Commander, and the Bile Spewer one-shot kills, but suffers greatly against the very mobile and heavily oversaturated Charger presence. As it's typically the support weapon's job more often than not to deal with this threat, having a bad matchup here is pretty damning for a support weapon, and that's without getting into the overall weak TTK against Titans. Overall, only a 4 out of 10 support weapon to bring into level 10 Terminid missions, as you can definitely do a lot better here. But with all the ratings now in account, this awards the RS-422 Railgun a final ranking of a 7 out of 10, an overall fantastic and well-balanced support weapon for sure. If you disagree or agree with any of my ratings or verdict, feel free to tell me why in the comments down below, and we can have further discussion on the weapon's strengths and weaknesses there. If you enjoy this new quick and to the point series, make sure to like the video so I know to keep making them for the rest of the weapons. Thanks for watching till the end, and have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time.
And now, another helpful tip from General Brasch.
Erevan has reminded us all that Railgun is best gun, cause there's no gun like Railgun. For this, I am ordering all active Helldivers to like, comment, and subscribe to his channel. Failure to do so will result in the autocannon falling from a 69% pick rate. Nice!
Brash tactics. Use them or die trying.